Frankenstein. The 4 letters at the beginning of the book.
I'll tell you this. I went through it on one road trip. So I'm a little hazy on some of it.
Okay, so before chapter 1, there's 4 letters written by Robert to his sister, Margaret. Setting up before he talks to Frankenstein. He's a captain of a ship heading on a dangerous voyage to the North Pole.
Oh, yes.
In the first letter, he tells his sisters of the preparations leading up to his departure and in the desire to find some great purpose, discovering a northern passage to the Pacific, blah, blah, blah. And then the second letter is basically Walton talking about, how he has no friends and he's lonely and all this.
Yeah.
And that's basically the second and the third letter where he's all like, I don't have any friends and I doubt I'll find any way up here where it's just me and the crew.
Yeah.
And then the fourth letter is where he talks about they see a sledge off in the distance with a gigantic creature on it, and then like it goes over the ridge or whatever, and then the next morning they see another person, Frankenstein, and he's on a freaking ice raft that's melting, and so they pull him up onto the ship, and that's pretty much the first 4 letters, and he's all like, well, I guess I have a friend now.
I bet you're wondering how I got here.
He's right behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then from there we get back into chapter 1. So this whole book is just one long letter, I guess, to his sister.
I've best heard this book described as an exhaustive life story inside of an exhaustive life story inside of an exhaustive life story.
Yeah, it's Inception before Inception was made.
Yeah. But yeah, this dude starts writing it down because it's going to send whatever Victor tells him about to his sister. And then he quickly gets into this is a little more than 1 letter territory.
Yeah, let me write a book.
Yeah. And at some point, he just gets too interested in what Frankenstein's got going on. So he just keeps writing and listening to the guy.
In the beginning, it's mainly talking about his, background.
Yeah.
Childhood.
Victor goes, I know you found me on a sledge in the Arctic, but let me start at the beginning. I was a young
bring
witch
it all
boy.
back to where it began. Talks about Elizabeth.
Yep.
And how he's basically promised to be his her husband at some point. They're supposed to be married.
Yep. His parents find a girl who is too pretty to be poor, so they adopted her.
Yeah, her parent dies, and they're like, "Oh, you'll just live with us then, since you're gonna marry Victor one day anyway." Yeah. That's chapter 2. Chapter 2 sets up Henry.
Yes,
Clerval.
his best friend.
Yeah, his only friend.
You're right. He is both his best and worst friend.
Yes.
It also tells us more about Victor's personality.
Yeah, it starts to flesh out
Yeah.
what he wants to know about the world and everything, and how he comes across these books that are, by the time he reads the books, they're like outdated science books, but he doesn't care. Yeah. He reads them anyway, and they stick with him for a good portion of the rest of his life.
He's very much he's just a really, really smart kid who then goes to school and finds school boring because it's not smart enough for him.
Yeah, he says in the book, that if his dad had told him that these were outdated, he would have left. He would have left it behind. Instead, his dad was just like, don't read that. And he was like, well, I'm going to read it anyway.
Yeah.
His family in chapter 3 to attend some university where he just continues to learn more. The professor tells him that he wasted his time reading all these
old
other scientists, and to read these new people, and so he starts reading them, but then he just ends up going back to the same.
And then in the space of 1 page, he goes, I'm going to figure out the secret of life. And then he figures out the secret of life. And starts building Frankenstein's monster.
I was just reading that, and I kind of like... It's so...
You don't notice it if you're not looking
quick.
for it.
Yeah, it's so quick. I was just like, huh. And then all of a sudden I'm at the part where he's cowering and the beast is standing over and was like, wait a minute.
Hold on. Wasn't there a middle port? Where's the lightning?
Yeah, where's the lightning? Where's the
I love the idea that he's just so smart that he could figure all of this out with almost no effort. And yet he still gets Frankenstein's eyes wrong.
Yeah.
That's literally his only flaw, is that his eyes are wrong, and apparently they're so bad, it makes everybody want to murder him when they see him.
Right, so Frankenstein's monster is created. Frankenstein leaves his house in disgust, and then, like, comes back later and Frankenstein's gone and everything. Or, I guess Frankenstein's monster is gone and everything.
From this point on, we'll just call the monster Frankenstein, and we'll call him Victor. Because it'll be easier that way.
Yeah. So Frankenstein is gone.
He leaves because he got scared. And then when he comes back, he realizes he's not there. And he's like, oh, cool.
All my
sure, that'll sort itself out.
Yeah, all my problems are solved.
Yep.
And then he gets a letter from his dad and says, yeah, your brother's dead.
He gets a couple of... He, like, ends up going through letters because his friend Henry shows up. And Henry's like... Hey, you're not
nurses
looking too
him back
good.
to hell.
Also, nobody's heard from you in like 8 months. What happened?
Yeah.
And then also his brother died.
Yeah, so he gets the info on his brother, and they head back.
Yep.
To Geneva, where they're from. When he's out, when they get there, it's late and the town's closed off. So he's walking around at night. And goes to the spot where his brother was found, and he sees Frankenstein walking around, and he's all like, "Oh,
weird
that dude killed my brother, of course." Yeah. Some random girl in the town is actually accused of it. Justine was accused of the murder because she had the picture of...
She had the locket on
Caroline,
or in her possessions, and she was I believe a maid for the Frankensteins, which was
and this is where
in the same area-ish. There's enough gray area for them to actually pin it on her, essentially.
Yeah, and Victor's all like, I'm gonna let her take the fall. I'm gonna let her take the fall.
Frankenstein knows for a fact it was that guy, knows it wasn't her, and then here's his girlfriend/fiance plead for him to help her save her best friend's life. And then he does nothing and lets her get murdered for it.
Elizabeth's all sad because she doesn't want to believe that Justine, who was so innocent...
Justine, who was innocent. Yeah.
They go visit her in prison. Frankenstein's a mute. Or Victor's a mute. And Elizabeth and them talk, and then, she's convinced of her innocence. But it's too late because she's at that point, she had already confessed to the crime.
Yeah.
So Justine is executed, and Victor just becomes sad boy.
Yeah, Justine gets executed, and then Victor goes into none of that was my fault, but man, Frankenstein's walking around, and that's not good news. So he gets depressed that Frankenstein's alive, and not that his brother was killed or that he let the girl die. So that people wouldn't realize that he had made Frankenstein.
Right, so when Victor is feeling really, really sad, he decides to travel to the mountain. I forget the name of it. Hoping to, find beauty and lift his spirits and everything.
Yeah.
And he gets up there at the top.
Actually depressed fiance with him.
No. He goes up there, he's all chill, and then he sees... Frankenstein, who, unlike every media portrayal of him ever, is running at him with incredible speed.
He's like full sprint, like a matching pace with a horse.
Like Usain Bolt.
Yeah. Just absolutely booking it across a mountainside towards Victor.
He's definitely not someone who limps and
or walks around with his arms straight in front of him.
Yeah, definitely not.
Weird.
That might have been him when he was first created, but I guess he was raised by wolves.
Yeah. He catches up to him and
this
forces
is the part,
Victor to hear his whole life story.
Well, this is the part where, like, when he sees Frankenstein running at him, and he's all like, "Oh, I'll just engage this
I'll
dude
fix
in
this
Mortal
right
Kombat."
now. And then goes and picks up like a stick.
Frankenstein's like, "Wait a minute, let me just talk."
Yeah. So Frankenstein confesses to the murder.
Yeah, he confessed to the murder, and he's all like, "Before you kill me, hear my life story."
Let me tell you my entire life story.
Which is actually, it's not. It's actually really sad too.
Yeah. Essentially, he's just a baby. He got created, but he didn't have any knowledge or anything. And then Victor ran. So Frankenstein had no
the one man who
knowledge. And
yeah, the
no
one
idea
man
what
who
to
could
do.
help him.
Yeah.
Just like, no.
So he goes through the whole thing explaining how he figured out what fire was and how to like survive in the woods. And then he comes across the little small
village.
cottage home where he starts
hearing
the conversations between an old man and his kids.
And they say he kept saying he lived in a little alcove that wasn't far from the cottage. Well,
there was a main cottage, and then there was like an separate, smaller guest house, essentially, where the old man stayed.
Yeah, they never checked that for Frankenstein?
Frankenstein was like living underneath the house.
Oh,
or like
okay.
in a woodshed.
That's really weird.
Yes.
But like basically that's where he learned how to speak was it French? Yeah.
He heard them because he was in France.
Yeah, that's where he learned how to speak. No, he learned English because they were Englishmen living in France.
He learns a couple of languages from them because they also drop some books off the side at one point, and then he just yoinks some.
Yeah, and they just never go
and figures out that one too.
And then like he's helping these people out, like he'll go and chop all their wood, but
he learns he starts to really care for these people, especially the old blind man.
Yeah, he figures out like why they're living there and why they're unhappy.
Yeah, he also overhears their entire life story, so he tells that to Frankenstein as well.
Like, he even gets to a point where he stops stealing food from them and then, get his own food and everything.
Yeah. And then he sneaks in to have a conversation with somebody for the first time in his life.
The blind old man. He figured if I was to talk to anybody, it would have to be the blind old man.
Everybody who'd seen him in, like, the woods and stuff was super scared of him. So he figures, this guy can't see anything. This might be my best chance. So he goes in to talk to him. And it goes well. Until the old man's kids or grandkids or whoever show up and immediately freak out and try to kill Frankenstein again.
I think he even mentions one of the books that he takes was Stranger in a Strange Land.
Maybe.
I think on the nose.
He might have. Stranger in a Strange Land might have been among them. I know Paradise Lost was.
Yeah, Paradise Lost was.
Yeah.
We get cameos, name drops from these other books.
Yeah.
He goes in to talk to, what is that old man's name?
I have no idea. I just know he's old and blind.
DeLacy. I just looked it up.
Sure.
DeLacy, unprejudiced against his hideous exterior because he is blind. So he sits there, and then all like the son and his wife and the sister, they go for a long walk one day for some reason, and so he's like, "Oh, now's my chance." So he goes in and starts speaking to the old man, and he's telling him like, "Hey, I've grown fond of these people and everything, but they don't know about me and everything." And then the old man's like, "Oh, it'll be fine. Just go talk to them."
And then they show up.
They come back. So it wasn't as long of a walk as he thought. And so like he throws himself at the feet of the old man. And it just looks like, I guess it looks really bad.
It's that, and also people can't look at his eyes without wanting to kill him for some reason. because Victor was so bad at making them.
Mm.
So they see him and they see his eyes, and they immediately think their grandfather's about to be murdered.
Right, so the kid drives the monster away. And so Frankenstein's all running away, and he's hurt and he's depressed, and then he swears revenge on humans, especially Victor.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, you know what? Maybe the old man talks some sense into him. So he goes back to the cottage, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where they're like, we have to leave. We can never live in this cottage again. And
Yeah,
then
they
he's
saw
like,
him
okay.
once and decided that was it.
Yeah, he's like, okay, you know what? Screw you guys. He heads towards Geneva and somehow finds it, and then also somehow finds Victor's younger brother. And
Like,
it's
there's definitely a way for him to like steal maps and stuff like that to get there.
yeah,
But of all of the people to just wander into on the streets of Geneva, he finds Victor's
Victor's
younger brother, who then boasts about being a Frankenstein.
Right. So Frankenstein snatches William, and he does it in a way. He's like, well, you're a kid. You're not like tainted by the world of anything. You know, maybe I could get you to be on my side. And then William does like the richest person thing ever. My dad will sue you. You know who my dad is? He's like, my dad is Frankenstein. And then Monster, at hearing the name, kills the boy.
Yeah.
Takes the picture from the boy and plants it on Justine.
Yeah.
Somehow he being, you know, an 8 foot tall, was able to get close.
He's had a lot of
Justine.
practice sneaking around.
Yeah, I guess so. And then that's pretty much all caught up. He's all like, well, and then you found me here.
And then
And he was like,
let
he
her
was
get
like,
murdered.
he was like, that is
Yeah.
how I met your mother.
And then he demands that Victor make him not alone anymore by making him a wife.
Making him a bride of Frankenstein. Oh my god.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
And then Victor's like, yeah, sure, just leave me alone.
Yeah. So
So,
Victor
yeah, he
prepares
sets
to
out.
do that. Once again, loses himself in the science of making another person.
Yeah,
and
this
then
dude was just
halfway
like,
through-
I'm mad.
Yeah, and then halfway through just gives up, like, because the worst part about it is that he gives up not because he thinks that they'll not get along. He's a little worried about that. He's more worried about about Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein having a bunch of kids who then like rule the earth. So he
Which
just
is fair.
scraps the whole project.
Which is fair.
I mean, he's building a person. He didn't have to make her capable of reproduction.
Yeah, but he
He could have left parts of that out.
There's a lot here that he does where he just doesn't think straight. Everything
For such a smart
past-
guy, he's really stupid.
Yes, yes. So after he decides not to build her, Frankenstein is back to being angry.
And decides to take it out on Victor and vows to be with him on his wedding night, and then mysteriously disappears.
Yeah, and
And then Henry mysteriously dies, and Victor gets blamed for it.
yeah, Victor goes out to dump all the stuff in the water, and then because he gets on his little boat and dumps everything out in the middle, and then just washes up on shore in Ireland, where Henry is dead. His best friend.
His best friend strangled to death.
Yep.
And they blame Victor.
Yeah, because they were like, well, we all saw another man in a boat wash away at this very spot where Victor was. And then that got me thinking of how easy it would probably be to kill people back then.
Yeah, murder wasn't a hard thing to get away with for a while. But yeah, murder was an easy thing to get away with, apparently.
So the mayor of the town or whatever, on a whim reaches out to Victor's dad and everything.
Yeah.
And his dad comes.
Shows all the proper paperwork to say that it wasn't Victor because he was somewhere else.
Right. So Victor got incredibly lucky.
Yeah, Victor gets incredibly lucky and also like almost dies of depression again from building another or starting the process to build another Frankenstein. Like he gets super unhealthy in the jail and he has to be brought out by his father and then nursed back to health again.
Right. In Paris.
Yeah.
Victor recovers his strength. And that's when he gets a letter from Elizabeth who's all like, if you love another, I get it. And Victor's all like, nah.
Let's go ahead and seal the deal.
Yeah, and he's like, he reads the letter and he's like, oh, the monster will be with me on my wedding night.
He's going to kill me on my wedding night.
Yeah, he's going to kill me on my wedding night, even though he's vowed to take everyone I love from me. Like, come on, dude. I never once for a second thought that Frankenstein would kill Victor first.
Yes.
Never once for a second. As soon as he said, I'll be with you on your wedding night, I was like, dude, you better get back to Elizabeth right now.
The problem with Victor is Victor's flaw he's like borderline narcissistic. He can only think of things about how it affects him. So when he hears he'll be with me on my wedding night, he's like, he's gonna kill me when I get married.
And I'm gonna get married and we're gonna end it. That'll show him.
Yeah. So he goes back, he marries Elizabeth, and then he like stays up all night with 3 guns next to him downstairs waiting for Frankenstein.
Yeah, and then he's all like, Elizabeth, just go back to bed.
Go to bed.
I'll come up there. I'll come up there and I'll end it. And then that's when he hears Elizabeth scream and Elizabeth's dead.
Yeah, so he runs upstairs without his 3 guns and sees she's dead and Frankenstein's in the window and then just like...
Yeah.
And he's like, told you so, and then jumps out of the window and races away. And then Victor essentially just like, skips ahead and is like, and I've been chasing him ever since. That's why I'm in the Arctic.
He's been following and he's all like, Walton, I know it's not right for me, but if you find Frankenstein, kill him for me.
Yeah, the whole time, this poor guy's just... The poor guy who's been reciting this story, like writing it down, is losing it. Like, oh my gosh, this guy's crazy. What am I supposed to do with him?
Yeah. He's like, there's no way there's an 8-foot tall man.
And then he gets called away to go like deal with something above deck.
Yeah.
When he comes back, Victor is dead and Frankenstein is there, just in the room.
You sure about that? I don't think so.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right. No, because the crew is all like trying to do a mutiny at some point. And then Frankenstein was the one who talked him out of it. You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, there was the whole...
It's not a very long book.
No. This is the end of it. Yeah. You know, the crewmates come in and they're all like, please, let's go back home.
Oh, they're not trying to mutiny. They just want to go home because they don't think they'll survive up here. Yeah.
And Frankenstein's all like, you bunch of...
Yeah, Frankenstein's like, no, you have to carry on.
And then, you bunch of crybabies. Get out of here.
And then Weston goes, maybe I shouldn't do what Frankenstein says. And then he walks out and tells them to turn around and go home.
Yeah, Walton's all like, yeah, never mind. We're getting out of here. Yeah, he hears a strange sound coming from the room, runs in there, and then Frankenstein is in there, and then he's just all like...
Victor died of like natural causes, and Frankenstein is just in the corner of the room staring at him.
Yeah, dude, which is insane. Like, Frankenstein has been there the whole time. Yeah, and then he's all like crying and everything, and the monster, Frankenstein tells Walton that he never felt happy.
He never had the opportunity to feel love because the person who made him abandoned him.
Yeah, he never, like, even after killing all of Victor's friends and family, he never, because like
he didn't do that to feel love. He did that to force Victor to see what Frankenstein felt Victor had done to him. But Victor couldn't understand. Victor just has like no empathy So he couldn't understand what he put Frankenstein through.
It was all like,
And then
Frankenstein was all like, I killed William, I regretted it, and then Frankenstein pissed me off, so I killed Henry, and then I regretted
Victor
it.
kept
And then,
pushing me.
yeah, so he was like, I didn't want to kill these people, it was Victor's fault. And then he's all like, all right, goodbye. And then jumps out
a window again.
Jumps out of the ship and then just leaves. And
Yeah.
then that's literally the end of the book, where he's all like, and then he disappeared into the darkness.
And then Walton turns around and goes home at double speed.
Yeah, he's all like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out of this thing.
All in all, it's a good book. The problem is Victor is the most annoying, narcissistic jerk to have to read things from his point of view.
Well, it's crazy because when Walton finally meets Frankenstein, he says he feels a mixture of curiosity and compassion.
Yeah.
Because after he's heard everything, he's all like...
Yeah, Walton sees
this
what
dude's
Victor
been
did to him.
Yeah, this dude's been through a lot. And then the monster's like, I'm gonna go kill myself.
And then dips out.
Yeah, and then that's it.
Yep. The problem is Frankenstein, the monster, never had to choose to kill anybody, but he definitely did choose to kill a couple of people. So he's not a great person. But Victor is an equally horrible person.
Yes. That would I'm trying to, I don't know. It's like he created
It's a cautionary
this thing.
tale against leaving orphan children.
Yes. I understand why, like if they were to make a accurate movie from this book, it would probably be an insanely boring movie, and I get that.
You'd have to cut out a lot to keep the pace
or it would
up.
have to be like, the only way they could do it, in my opinion, is to do like a Band of Brothers style type thing, like 10 episodes. And then, but like the first movie ever to make a Frankenstein movie was just so different, and then everybody else who did it after saw that movie, never read the book. It was like, okay, that's how it's done.
It was the first Frankenstein movie pulled in M. Night Shyamalan with Avatar. Somebody just loosely described it to him, and they made a movie based off of the loose description, which wasn't even close to the actual thing.
Right. They
And
read the
people
book and they're
latched
like,
onto
this is the ultimate fan fiction. And then threw it away and then made a movie that they thought was right. But overall, I thought it was a really great book. Definitely what this book made me want to do is to go back and read all the classic monster books. Just to see how different they are from everything that I've seen.
Yeah.
Because I know I can only imagine how different like Dracula and Van Helsing or The Mummy or Invisible Man or anything like that is all different.
Yeah. If you're looking for a good like mad or like evil scientist book, don't read Frankenstein. Read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Because that's one that's actually about a real doctor. Because once again, what every movie also gets wrong is Victor went to school, but he never finished college. Victor's a dropout. He's not a doctor.
Yeah, he's like Bill Gates. If Bill Gates didn't make phones.
So yeah, if you're looking for a good evil scientist book, read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. If you're looking for just a good read, Frankenstein is solid.
Frankenstein is it's a quick read too.
Yes. Very short.
One of those books you can sit down and, read in a day or two, depending on how busy you are.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't take me long to finish it, and I'm very busy.
Yeah.
I have no time on my hands. That's why I make YouTube videos.
Exactly.